Hello and good day. I'm Steve Higginbotham and I am the Coffee Coach. Today is going to be a little bit more than just a tidbit. I'd like to bring to you human resources, HR in specific. In my mind, it means honest recruiter. Now, as the Coffee Coach, my job to reach out to you is to give you that honest, that feel of what's really happening behind the scenes. So today's topic, HR, is not human resources, but honest recruitment. Now, I've been in this industry in staffing and in recruiting for 19 years. Although I am a subject matter expert in talent acquisition, and I would also say that I'm a subject matter expert in talent management. I'm learning to become a better emerging leader, transformational coach. But we can call ourselves whatever. When we really peel it back and we look back at staffing, consulting, talent acquisition, talent development, workforce planning, workforce solutions. There's so many different acronyms and names that can be all associated with it. But once we peel it back and dive deeper, at its core, it's recruiting. And more importantly, it's people recruitment. And is it safe to say that there's a lot of recruiters out there, in my professional opinion, that are crap? Would you agree? There's also a lot of recruiters out there that are great, and some of them are amazing. And then there's those handful that are phenomenal. But we're all recruiters and we're all lumped into this together. Candidates, hiring managers, and recruiters. It's the trifecta. I want to break down really the recruitment process and where the breakdowns are. There's miscommunications. Now, everything in recruitment starts with the candidate needs to find a job. The hiring manager needs to find a candidate. And we're in the middle. And we're always going to be in the middle. And that's okay, because that's where I like to play, that liaison. However, when a candidate approaches you, are they approaching you professionally? Are they approaching you trying to understand what the recruitment process really is? Or are they just desperate to get the job for whatever reason? And if they don't take the time to allow us as recruiters to understand what is their current situation, what is their ideal situation, and how can we help them, then they're doing themselves a disservice. They're doing ourselves a disservice. There's a lot of candidates out there that think recruiters are only paid to fill these jobs. And although that is true, there are still great recruiters out there that will help someone find a job, point them in the right direction. We have what I like to call the keys to the kingdom. Now, that's not saying that we're divine and we're this higher power, but we know inside this company or companies. We also know from our managers that we know these candidates and which ones might fit technically, which ones might fit with an interpersonal skill, how do they fit within the culture. And you put those things together, that's a great combo. That is the keys to the kingdom. But it's not just enough to hire great talent, right? There's more than that. There's training, there's retaining, and what a lot of people miss is that mentorship that goes on during that. But I'd like us to take us just to the acquisition part of it. The candidate, the recruitment, and the hiring manager to the onboarding part. That's what I'd like to focus on today. There'll be time later on to talk about training, retaining, and mentorship. And if you follow any of my YouTube videos, you'll see some tidbits in there. You can always find me on my website as well, Coffee Coaches, that's plural, just like it sounds, coffeecoaches.com. But the honest recruitment, what I'd like to really discuss and what I'd really like to talk about is that partnership or their lack thereof the partnership. And what I mean by that is candidates out there get so irritated because we don't call them back. They get so irritated because we aren't giving them the opportunity. And here's how it goes sometimes. Now, obviously, we're all human, we're all different, We are not created equal when we're trying to find a job, in a sense. And that's a lot of things go into that. But when a candidate calls us, the normal way that it goes is they need a job. Here's my resume. What are you working on? Help me find a job. And they think that we're incentivized by finding everybody a job. And that's quite the opposite. Or they're disillusioned by the fact that we have to help them, in a sense. Or the fact that, well, they're too busy, they're not going to help us. So they're already coming in with this bias. Would you agree? I think what we really need to do is all of us take a step back and understand, what is the process? How can we help each other? Because let's face it, if I help them find a job, yes, I will make money on that. And that will help them put food on their table, provide shelter, clothing, and housing for their family, gas in their tank, those types of things. Now that's at its bare bone basics, right? But everybody wants a raise, everybody wants a promotion, they want to level up, they want that next career opportunity. We won't even get into that just yet. That's another tidbit. Focusing on HR, honest recruitment. There's no trust built. There's no rapport built. Candidates are constantly bombarding us recruiters with, I know I'm qualified, I can do this. But they're not understanding what this job may have. There's a caveat to it. There's a reason why they're not moving forward with the interview. For whatever that is, the candidates need to step back and understand and work with that recruiting partner, that talent acquisition sourcer, recruiter, manager, to understand this particular job. What's the nuance? What's the difference? What's that deciding factor? And again, when we write job descriptions, because a lot of us write great job descriptions, we do not just use templates and put them out there. They are written specifically for that job at that time. We are specifically hiring for a cultural fit. Might be a shock to some of you, but it's not all about technology anymore. Your resume is going to help get you in there, but sometimes I even think the resume hurts you. I don't believe in one-page resumes. Unless you're just coming out of college and you're graduating, or you've only had one job, I don't believe in one-page resumes. I think it needs to be 2 or 3. It needs to have your training in there. It needs to have words that are powerful, what I call impact words. When you're writing a resume, and I also have this on my website as a workshop, you've got to use those power words. Lead, collaborate, cross-functional, connect. How did you deliver? You know, some people put in their skills, willing to work hard. That should be a given. If you're not willing to work hard, you're already passed up by 80% of the people out there. No longer are the 8 to 5 days anymore. You know, the commute, does that really matter? It shouldn't, because I'm going to work for a company, for a leader, not for a location. I've driven an hour and a half to work sometimes. Luckily now, I work right around the corner from my house. It took me 19 years to find a place like this. But I didn't go because it was close to my home. I went because of my leader, because I wanted to know the company. And this last position that I have was probably the longest, the hardest, most gruelingest interview that I've ever had. But I connected with that leader who is a mentor. And what I'm really trying to get to is the candidates have to understand who they are, and what they bring to the table outside of their technical skills. Because now, more than ever in this environment of recruitment, talent acquisition, does that play a role? It is vital to you getting a job. But step back and own it as a candidate. Be respectful of recruiters. I had someone a year ago tell me, I have to pass their resume forward, that I'm just a recruiter. How disrespectful and condescending was that? Now, I won't talk about where that conversation led after that. Let's just say the candidate did not go forward and respectfully declined. The point that I'm making is candidates have to understand that we are busy. We have a lot of jobs we're working on, and we can't find everybody a job. But if you give us the time and you respect us, you start to understand the process and you work with us, the good recruiters, they're going to read between the lines. They're going to know that this candidate has some value, that they have something to offer. And In business development and in recruiting, I talk to these hiring managers. I don't ever make the hiring decision, but I influence that decision. And I can influence it very heavily, or I can continue to look for another candidate. So you as a candidate, choose who you want to be. You as a recruiter, choose how you want to represent your firm and or your candidates. And my suggestion is to trust each other, to build that rapport. And that takes time. Sometimes it's not a first phone call. It's not send me your resume. Oh, it's on there. But have that respect, have that trust, work together, collaborate. There's not enough of that out there. That's what frustrates me. But you got to understand, and we've got to read between the lines. And your resume, although it's not going to have everything on there, it needs to be impactful enough to show the variety of work in which you've done, to entice and hook the manager to make him or her want to speak with you and or meet with you to interview. And as recruiters, that is our job, to present you. I never, ever present a piece of paper. I don't give resumes to managers and ask them what do they think. Because I have a discovery or an intake call with that manager prior to even starting to recruit on the job. And I know what their company looks like from a technical perspective, how this position specifically is involved with that company, but also from a cultural perspective. What does their department look like? What are the dynamics? Who are the people on their team? How do they influence this decision? And how does this manager want to manage or lead this person? What level do they want? And I look at it from a technical and a behavioral side. And I do all of that before I even start making phone calls to look for the candidates. And sometimes I know the exact person that can do that job because I've already met with them. I don't need to go out and recruit. The timing just happens to be right. But I don't read resumes. I don't sell resumes. I represent people. And resumes, although they are a byproduct of this whole recruitment process, they are a necessity, but that's not what I represent. I represent hiring managers, companies and departments, and candidates that are going to be employees that can fit within that. And that takes some time, that takes some trust, it takes rapport, but it takes transparency, it takes honesty, and it takes reading between the lines and knowing who is the best fit for that company. And when I represent candidates, I don't give them 5 resumes. A lot of the times it's 1, 2, maybe 3. And they're all great candidates. And they have maybe one little thing that might be different. It's so minor. And that's a decision for the manager to hire who they feel would be best for their company, best for their department, to work with their team, to add value to the team, not just fill a job, get a position. I'm in the career management business, not in the job business. I'm not in resume business. I'm here to represent people. So this is a call out to the candidates, to the recruiters out there, to understand, to respect each other, and to kind of take a step back and say, who am I as a candidate? And as a recruiter, who am I really representing, both candidate and client? And where do they fit in? And am I doing the best job that I can do? We're all busy. We're all stretched thin. But let's read between the lines. And let's truly be involved in HR. Honest recruitment. Let's work together. Let's make this industry so much better because it has been watered down. It's been tainted. People have the biases. I've even worked with recruiters that I haven't enjoyed. I still remember my very first recruitment appointment that I ever went on when I got out of the Navy before I even got into staffing, and how crappy that feeling was. How I sat in the office for hours upon hours taking test upon test and never got a job. And then I got a job and the recruiter just hounded me every day. Am I going to show up? Am I going to be there? Not trusting me. It was a horrible experience. And then I got into staffing and I told myself that I will never be like that person. That I don't want to ever treat a candidate like that. And by no means am I perfect. And by no means do I have all the answers. But I do have 19 years of experience. I've worked with over 1,700 different hiring managers. I've worked with over 500 different types of companies, both Fortune 100, startups. I've worked with aerospace, I've worked in healthcare, hospitals, clinical, engineering. I've worked .coms, I've worked technology. I've worked a lot. But I don't have all the answers. But the answers that I do have is recruiters, you got to do a better job in representing your firm and your candidates. And candidates, you got to do a better job. Take a step back and own the process. Have perfect resumes. Make sure that everything is on there. There's no typos. Make sure that it reads clearly. But represent yourself fairly and realize the job that you're applying for, do you really match the technical skills? And understand what they need from a behavioral side. What culture that company has. Do your research. This can all be a better process if we all just take a step back, peel it back a little bit, work collaboratively together, and be honest with each other. I'm Steve Higginbotham, and I am the Coffee Coach, and thank you for watching this. Have a great day.